What do you say?
Good afternoon and welcome to our very first episode of Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn. I'm Dawn Hairston.
And I'm Kenya Turner.
So today we are going to be discussing can a person have an exclusive relationship in this day and time that we're living in? And we're going to be talking about things from a Christian perspective. So Kenya, just thinking about dating today, and we're both married, but looking at our daughters that we have and our son, is it possible to have an exclusive relationship now?
I really want to believe that it is possible because I love love, but there's just not enough of true love being displayed or real love being displayed. I don't think there are a lot of examples of good love being displayed. So it leads me to believe that I'm not sure whether or not there are exclusive relationships now.
I can definitely relate to that. I've seen a lot of young men and a lot of young women dealing with different relationships. And I've also heard that there is exclusivity, but then there also has been some cheating in those relationships as well.
Yes.
Which I can say is very hurtful if you've ever been cheated on before. So also with social media now.
Yes.
You always hear about somebody possibly sliding into someone's DMs.
Yes.
And when maybe they even see someone that's in love, and you see that their partner is being, good to them. And maybe that person wants some of that. So they will take that opportunity to get into those DMs, send a text message, whatever it may be, and possibly break up that relationship.
Yes.
So, but I think as a Christian or even someone that is just coming into Christianity and wanting to walk with Christ, it may be a little bit difficult because of the pressures that are out there. What do you think?
I think those pressures are really real. But I think with this day and time, I think the most important things for young women and young men to do is once they come out of bad relationships is to spend time getting to know themselves. And during that time, building their relationship, their intimate relationship with God. Because a lot of times we're in relationship after relationship. We never even really get to spend time with ourselves to know who we are. So we take one bad situation to another situation and we end up with the same results. So I think that's the most important thing, or at least a good start for people to start spending time with themselves. And I think in this day and time, I don't think society is okay with people spending time alone. But I think it's important to do that.
I think it's important to do that as well. I am familiar with a young lady that did just that, went through a bad breakup and said, I want to take time just for me.
Yes.
Took a year off from dating, probably maybe 14, 16 months just away from dating, and said, I'm going to date myself. Took themselves to movies, went to dinner, began to, I believe, journal, just read some things, got more into the Word, started with their devotion. And when the time was right, then her husband now had walked into her life just completely unexpectedly.
Wow.
I think it's definitely something that is attainable, is having that exclusive relationship. But I do think it's really important to know who you are first.
Absolutely.
So that man or that woman that God had specifically designed for you is able to walk into your life and that you two are able to build a future together.
I think so too, because a lot of times I think we bring a lot of trauma from past relationships, and there are times when we don't take that time to heal. And during that time, I'm sure, I'm going to assume that young lady got to know not just herself, but to be able to look at things she probably needed to work on and had an opportunity to work on those things so that she didn't take those things into another relationship. And I think it's important now that we start to change the culture, because as long as the culture is what it is, where everybody is following the trend, we go from one relationship to another, or it's not okay to be alone, then we're going to stay in the same situation. We have to get to know who we are in order to know whose we are.
I also think it's important to have the right examples around us.
Yes.
Because when you have seen that pattern of behavior to where a family member or close friends of the family have been with so many different women, I'll just use a man for example, has been around so many different women that it sets the tone for that younger generation to say this is acceptable and this is something that I can do as well. But actually, it's not acceptable. And even in the word, it says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing.
Yes.
So I understand the whole dating aspect, but when you are dating, should you be dating to be married?
Absolutely.
Should that be the end result? And that's the intention, is for marriage.
Absolutely. I heard something one time that said dating single is dating to be married. And a lot of times I think young women that are out just dating and thinking that they're trying to attract a specific type of man, we don't know what God has planned for us.
Right.
And normally if we go with the man or woman that God has for us, it has nothing to do with what we've accumulated in our mind to be.
Right.
And I think we have to really allow ourselves to really be in tune with God to hear with what he's saying in order to do that. And going back to the examples, a lot of us have not seen healthy relationships, but that does not stop us from seeing healthy relationships. And I think there are a lot of examples out with different podcasts or friends. I mean, I've come in contact with a lot of people that I've met with relationships that I've learned a lot from. I didn't learn a whole lot from my immediate family.
Right.
I didn't see a lot of healthy relationships.
Right.
But I think we have to be open to it too, because a lot of times I think we get jaded because we haven't seen them. We don't think they exist. So we have to be open-minded with it too, I think.
I totally agree with that. I think about the relationship that my grandparents had, and I saw how they worked together. And of course, they had an exclusive relationship, and they had a great family that they built together. But just watching them work together, and with my grandfather sometimes being ill, and my grandmother, she just stepped right in, and it's like they never skipped a beat. And I can even say I never saw my grandparents even have a disagreement.
Wow.
And that was an inspiration for me. When I got married, it wasn't always like that me and my husband didn't have a disagreement, but it was just an inspiration just to watch them work together and see how their relationship which was for me, it was a healthy relationship that I was able to witness growing up.
Yeah.
So that also gave me encouragement as well. But I think a lot of times we really don't see healthy relationships. And our kids nowadays that are coming up, they a lot of times don't see healthy relationships, especially when you look at the amount of fathers that are absent in the home.
Absolutely.
The single mothers that are there that are raising these children because sometimes the men have walked away. But just going back to what we said earlier, it is important to know who you are and what your goals are, what you are looking for in a wife, what you're looking for in a husband. But I also think that don't get so caught up in especially the physical. Because that man or woman that has been designed for you, you may miss that person because you're looking for one specific thing, but God was sending you something completely different.
Absolutely.
So with our young ones now, I think that's something that we definitely need to pass along to them is pay attention to that little voice that we hear inside. Pay attention to the spirit that's talking to you, the Holy Spirit that's talking to you and saying, yes, this is who I'm supposed to be with. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with that too, because I think a lot of times we don't know what healthy looks like, and we get so used to functioning in dysfunction that once we see something that's healthy, it's just not normal to us. So how do we get there? Why would I do that? That's not normal.
Right.
But that is normal. We just have to learn to get there. And I think with our young people, we have to work more on our mindset, because we are so in tune with the world and social media in the way that they portray the real world, or their version of the real world, that we are losing sight of the reality of what God has put in place for us. And I said earlier that I love love. And I just can't imagine. I remember a movie, Cicely Tyson said her heart just bleeds for young women who would never get to experience the love that her and her husband had.
I remember that movie.
And when she said that, it struck me to my core because I know my husband loved me through all my faults. And I see young women, I think they desire it, but they just don't know how to get there. And I think that goes back to that dysfunction. But we have to be open for correction,
right,
or a different way, or
right,
a different mindset. But I think in order to do that, we have to be able to see things differently and stop looking at the way that the world and everybody else is saying this is normal, because it's not normal. And it's easier for me to say this because I had to go on that journey. And you spoke on a young lady earlier spending time with herself, but that's exactly how I had to do it. And I didn't do it intentionally, but it just happened that way. And happening that way, when God sent me my husband, I didn't even ask for a husband.
Right.
He didn't look like what I thought he was going to look like. But in my small thinking, God had a bigger plan for me.
Right.
But again, we got to be willing, when that change comes, we got to be willing to say, okay, this is not my norm. Let me at least just try it. Yeah.
I also think that when you go into a relationship, you should be ready to be fully committed to that relationship. That it's not just a one night thing.
Yes.
But that you're building towards that and you want to have that commitment with someone. It would be probably very difficult to juggle so many different things. And I'll tell you, there's this one show, and it boggles my mind of how this works, but it's a show about polygamy. And it's so, how do you fall in and out of love so much? I don't understand that. I don't get it. It really does baffle my mind. And I'm also thinking about how you are able to bounce from one person to another. I got to give this wife time. I got to give this wife time, give this wife time. That, and I hear it is that, and one of the gentlemen is, he says constantly, this is what God has for us. And I'm thinking, God does not have that for you. No, you should be with one wife. You should not have these several fake wives.
Right.
That's not his plan. That was not designed for us. But that's something that is worldly. And if you allow yourself to fall for something like that, you'll never be able to find that type of love. No. You won't have that exclusive relationship. And it's important to show that to your children. It's important to display that, to the world, that yes, I'm committed to this one person. I'm committed to my wife. I'm committed to my husband. It should not be an array of men or women that you are here with.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that God designed polygamy.
Absolutely not.
I don't believe he did.
I know my husband used to work with this guy, and he told him, and this was, I think we had just met, or maybe before I knew him, and he said, all the energy that you putting into all these women you running, every time you with those women, you taking something from your wife. And he said, and fast forward into even today, we still talk about this. He said, all the energy that I put in the streets, it could have been put into my wife, and I can't get that time back. And I don't think young people understand that when they are giving themselves to different people, I don't really think they truly understand how they transferring things to people. And I don't think they understand the ramifications that's going to come back later. And I don't think that they think in their mind, I don't believe they understand that these things are going to affect you in some way, shape, or form later.
Yes.
And again, we going back trying to portray to the world that it's okay to have many women. It's okay to have many men. And it's not. That is not what God designed the marriage for.
No.
you know. And I just hate that the world is trying to make it okay for our kids, because it's hard enough for us to explain to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard enough for us to make sure that we're displaying healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have a bigger display
Mm-hmm.
of dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot.
And you touched on something that I've had conversations with other women about, that have had their husbands not being faithful to them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we wonder why we act the certain way that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your husband or your wife has been out and they have been with someone else, they're bringing those spirits
Yeah.
back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's almost going to be part of your DNA now, because you're taking those things on.
Absolutely.
And we've heard it. I've heard it so many times of, you've been with this person, you've been with that person, and everybody else that they have been with, you've also been with that person. So when you think about how many spirits have been transferred from one person to another, and then that comes back home.
Yes.
And it enters into your home, and it enters into your wife. It enters into your sanctuary. Your home should be a place. It should be a haven for you.
Yes. Yes.
It should not be a place of where you have to worry about how many spirits have been brought through the door.
Yes.
And then we wonder why we have so much mess going on in our homes. It's the picture is huge.
Yes.
When you look at it.
It is.
It's huge. But just to have that exclusive relationship, and I hope that somebody would take this and apply this to their life. Don't think that it's okay to have so many different people, so many different partners, and you bring those things back into your home again. That is not the way that you should want to live.
Right.
And it's okay to be with
One person. It is okay.
It's okay to do
actually
that.
supposed to be normal.
It is. It should be normal.
Yes.
That should be the norm.
It's
It
the
shouldn't
norm.
be, I'm going to be with this person and, okay, I'm going to be with that person, and you're falling in and out of love. It doesn't work that way.
It does not. It does not.
It doesn't work that way. I've been married to my husband for over 30 years. He has been the one and only true love of my life. And I don't believe that there would ever be another.
No.
There would not be another. We met each other. I was 19 and he was 18. And we're a little older now. But I could not imagine spending my life with anyone else. How old were you when you and your husband met?
Oh, man. I was 22, I think. 21, 22.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Been a long time. Yeah. Been a long time.
And you know what you saying, that y'all been together for so long. I was listening to Judge Lynn Toller, and her husband passed away.
Yeah.
And she was asked the question, would she ever remarry? And she said, why would I do that? I've already won that fight. And just to think about being with a person for years and years and years, you have learned, although as you get older, the relationship changes because you're changing.
Right.
But to have a best friend, when I get off work, now I'm going to say my husband get on my nerves, but if I don't call him by 5:03, he's like, what's wrong? What happened? And now, although it gets on my nerves, I know somebody loves me. I know somebody's checking on me. When I want to tell a secret, I call my friend.
Right.
When I'm mad, I'm calling my BFF.
Right.
When I'm mad with them kids, I'm calling my BFF. And I get so elated with love, period. And I'm just like, I want everybody to know. Now, again, like you said, it get rough a little time. It get rough sometimes because, we're human.
Right.
We're going to get on each other's nerves.
Right.
But to have somebody to genuinely love you and just to care about your well-being, to show up for you, even when you can't show up for yourself.
Right.
you can't get that with multiple people
No,
in your life.
no.
Because you're going to be fighting with somebody and somebody's not going to show up.
Right.
But when I can depend without a shadow of a doubt that that person is going to show up for me, how can I not? And the forecast of the future, when I can't hardly get up out of the bed.
Right.
Or I can't hardly get out of the car. And we got to help each other. We got to start from the beginning to build that relationship, to be able to trust each other to get to that point.
Yep.
So love is important.
It is.
But being exclusive is more important.
It is.
Because you only build trust if that person is going to know and understand that it's just me and you.
Just me and you.
You know, and I think love is only strengthened through that because I truly trust you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know, and you said it's just me and you. My husband was in the military, so we moved quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's all that we had to sometimes was to just rely on one another.
Each other.
I didn't have family. I don't think any place where we were stationed I had family.
Wow. Wow.
And it wasn't until where we are currently living now that he had family that was here. And which was a comfort, but for, I don't know, goodness, at least the first 10 years, there was nobody that was there.
Yeah.
And we had to rely on one another. I couldn't call on, everybody that was there, but the one constant that I had was my husband.
Yeah.
So you think about those things. How many people would be a constant in your life if you don't have that exclusive relationship?
Absolutely.
How many people are you really able to call on?
Right. Right.
But I know that I could call on my husband.
Yes. Yes.
I know that I could call on him.
Every
I know
time.
that I could definitely depend on him to be there, no matter what it was, good, bad, ugly, indifferent.
Absolutely.
I knew that I could call on my husband to be there with me. And I'm going to tell you, you said something to me. We've known each other for a long time. And you said something to me one day. And we were having a discussion. And you said, me and my husband actually like each other. You said, we like each other. You said, I really like my husband.
Yeah.
And when I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I like my husband too. I do, and we have fun together.
Right.
Even after the amount of years that we've been married, we still have fun together. We love to go, we love to go on trips. We love to do things. But even if it's just me and him, we still have the best time.
Yeah.
We still have so much fun. And I don't think that you can have that type of joy and happiness with so many different relationships with another partner.
Impossible.
I just don't think that you would be able to have that.
I don't either. I have to stand to be corrected, but I just don't believe so.
I just don't think that it's possible. But I appreciate those moments that we have.
Yeah.
I really do. I appreciate that that he calls me just like you call your husband. My husband calls me every day when he gets off from work.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't call me, then I'm thinking, okay, he must be working late. Something's going on to where he's not able to call me. But as soon as he can, he calls me.
Right.
And then I return that and I call him. And it may even be 45 minutes later when I get off from work.
Yeah.
And I'm calling him, hey, I'm on my way home.
Yeah.
But are you able to have that? Are you able to have that with other people?
I don't think I cannot believe that it's possible to have that with multiple people. And I'm going to tell you, I talk to my husband all the way to the garage. And I literally have to click off the phone because it starts to echo.
Right.
And if I had, and even just go back with our girlfriends, I don't talk to my girlfriends as much as I talk to my husband.
Right.
I call them my friend.
Right.
I'll say you're my best friend.
Right.
But my best friend knows the intimacy of me. My best friend, and that's another thing. How much intimate or how many intimate things can you share with multiple people before it's misconstrued? Before it's leaked and everybody know about it or everybody have a piece of it.
Right.
My deepest, darkest moments, my best friend got them sealed.
Yeah.
They're in the vault.
Right.
And you just, and a lot of people, you throw that word friend around too, though. But when you have that one person that you can truly, truly rely on, like you said, good, bad, or indifferent, I
Right.
can call you and you come and I don't care what's going on.
Right.
You just can't have that with multiple people.
No.
And when you're in a relationship with multiple people, then there's going to be some kind of conflict. Well, you're spending more time with her. I need some time. Why are you
Right.
not? If they know about it.
Right.
But even if they don't know about it, there's still going to be conflict because now I'm trying to figure out where were you? You were over here with this person. You didn't spend any time with me today. What happened? There's always going to be chaos in the middle because you're trying to keep up with, like the older people used to say, you got too many irons in the fire. It's too much going on.
Too many.
Too much going on.
But I also then, I'm going to go back to what we were talking about earlier with the young lady that I knew. Is, are you happy on the inside or not happy that you have to be out with so many different people?
I'm so glad you went back there because I'm going to have to say not happy.
I don't think that you're happy at all.
You're still trying to find something to fill that void, and that's why you're all over the place with all these different people.
I don't think that it's that you're projecting a healthy relationship within yourself.
No.
To be so scattered and be willing to give yourself away to so many different people.
Yeah.
I would say, what's going on the inside? What have you not dealt with? Possibly trauma as an adult or as a child, but it's something that's got to be there that you have not dealt with, that you are not able to have that exclusive relationship with someone.
Right.
So then what do you say to someone? Because a lot of times people are evasive and they don't want to talk about those things. Oh, I just can't be with somebody.
Yeah.
I just can't be with one person. Well, why?
Why? Right.
What has attached itself to you that you're not able to have that relationship?
Yeah.
That would be one of my questions for someone. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I know people that are like that.
Yeah.
That cannot be with one person. And it just makes me really think, like, what is really happening inside your mind? What are you thinking about? Why is it okay for you to move to so many different relationships and you never really settle down with that one person?
You know what I think it is? I think it's that exactly what you're saying. That little girl, that little boy, they done put in a corner and said, don't move. That keeps moving. That keeps showing up. And now that thing is dealing with them. And I think that's why there's so much brokenness out in our communities, because I think for so long we haven't addressed those things and those issues, and we done kind of compacted things down and kind of raked over the coals a little bit and not dealt with things. And we don't always know how to handle the things that have happened to us.
Right.
And so we start acting out in those ways. We show up in multiple relationships and abusing different things and doing all of those things.
Right.
And again, being by yourself, really journaling, you said, really digging down, looking at what was it? How did I get here? Where did it start?
Right.
I think that is just such a very important piece of the puzzle when you get ready to get into that exclusive relationship. Because again, I'm going to stand on it. I believe it's possible. I'm going to standing on believing it's possible to have an exclusive relationship.
I think it definitely is, but it's a word that we use around our house. You got to have some want to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You have to want to have that.
Yes.
To have that exclusive relationship, to be with that one person. But you also have to be committed in your relationship with Christ. Grounded in Christ. Send me the person. Now, this is what a woman should be saying. God, you send me who you want me to have. Send that man to me. And I think a lot of times this is where women go wrong in relationships, is that we're looking for someone instead of allowing ourselves to be found.
Ooh. Yes.
And
like that.
when we're looking and you come up on someone, you're coming up on the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't designed to be that way.
Yeah. Because the word says, he
He.
who finds.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. We're looking at we're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
We're doing it backward. We're definitely doing it backward.
Yeah.
But also, a woman should not be so quick to give herself away.
Yes.
Because I'm just thinking, okay, this is what I've heard my husband say, and what I've heard some other men say is, don't allow yourself to be used in that way. Don't just be so quick to jump into that physical relationship when that man has not captured. You've not allowed him to capture your mind first, but you allowed him to capture your body first.
Yeah.
Because it's all, for a man, from what I'm hearing, it's all about the chase. So if he's chasing you like he's supposed to be, but then you stop and say, okay, here I am. It's over now.
It's over.
You haven't given him
more
anything else to
excitement.
look forward to. It's
Right.
over. So then he's probably maybe ready to move on to the next one.
Absolutely.
If he has not found his relationship in Christ.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it's so many different facets to this to have that exclusive relationship.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say, find out who you are and be ready for that person. If you read your word,
Yes.
then you also wouldn't be so quick
Yes.
to be tricked into and believe that this person that's come across you is really the right guy,
Yeah.
but he's really not the right guy.
Absolutely.
And if he's not the right guy, you definitely are not going to be able to have that exclusive relationship. So, any thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I just, when you said there's many facets, it really made me think of it from the perspective of the male and preparing themselves for the woman. And it really made me think about my son. He's reading this book called The Kingdom Man, I think. And I heard him talking about preparing himself. And I think with our young people, I don't think enough of them understand the process. And again, I think that comes with exposure, being around healthy relationships. But as our young women continue to put themselves out there and don't understand their worth and continue to exploit themselves, it's going to continue to show up as you're not valuable. And we produce. We can bring life into this world. So we are valuable.
Yes, we are.
So I think we have to look back at, again, our mindset and changing the culture, because our culture has showed us that exploiting ourselves is the right thing to do, the only way to do it, and that's the trend, if you will. And I think we have to be a little bit more cautious of looking like wife material. And I don't want to say that because I know a lot of women are going to say, well, I don't want a husband, or I don't need a husband. I truly believe that all women desire to have a husband. I understand the independent. I understand all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I believe truly that all women desire a husband. And I think that desire is there because it was there in the beginning.
Right. I think when you hear a lot of women say that, it's a defense mechanism. Because it's easy to put that wall up early. I don't want a husband.
Okay.
You may have been burned
Yeah.
several times before.
Okay.
And I'm just putting this wall up because I really don't want to be hurt again. So it's easy for me to say, okay, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want a man. I don't want a, relationship.
Yeah.
I'm focused on my career. I'm focused on traveling, which is nothing wrong with being focused on your career. There's
Right.
absolutely nothing wrong with traveling at all. But I also think this, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Absolutely.
So if you continuously say that, then I think that God is really going to tell you, okay, I won't send him.
Right.
But you really do want it.
Right. Right.
Be specific in things that you want. I think the first thing is say, I want a man of God.
Yes. Yes.
I want a man that's going to love me for me, that I'm going to be able to respect him.
Yes.
And I'm going to be able, because when you respect a man, the love is going to come afterwards.
Absolutely.
It's all going to be right there together.
Yes.
So be specific in what you want. I want a man that is going to prosper, that he's going to want good things for me.
Yes.
He's going to want good things for himself. He's going to want good things for our family.
Yes.
That, Lord, please don't let us struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we do have to struggle, we're going to struggle together.
Yes.
We're going to do those things together. But if you don't have that relationship, if you're not asking God to send those things to you, what are you going to have?
What are you going to have?
What are you going to have?
What are you gonna have? And that it just takes me back to you talking about the young lady journaling. We do have to be specific.
Yes.
We have not because we ask.
Because
not.
we ask not. That's right.
Yeah, we gotta be specific.
Be specific in those things. And even if we're specific in our prayer, it doesn't always mean that that's what God has for us.
Right. But He hears our desires.
But He hears us. And He gives us things that we do desire.
Yes.
But I also think that He will hold back what is not good for us.
Yes.
He will definitely hold those things back, which I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I greatly appreciate those things. I thought that I was going to marry a football player, but I didn't. And it's so funny because I said, and this is one thing why I said I'll never say never.
Okay.
I said I won't date a man in the military.
Oh, wow.
I don't want a man in the military.
Oh, man.
My husband was fresh out of basic training when we met each other, and we've been together ever since. But I also know that is who God designed for me. We just happened to meet by chance. We just happened to meet by chance, and it was a friend of a mutual friend that had been trying to set us up.
Oh, wow.
For a while.
Yeah.
And we just happened to meet one night. And we hit it off. And then we also found out that we had that mutual friend. And so we've been together for a long time. But I appreciate everything about him. And like I said before, I can't imagine my life being with anyone else.
Right.
I really can't. I really cannot. And I even look at our girls. We have 3 daughters. And I look at our kids, and they love love.
Oh, wow.
They love love.
Yeah.
They love that. And it's exciting to watch them because I see the energy that they have. And our oldest daughter, she's married. She has a family. My middle daughter, she has 2 kids. And then we have a younger daughter as well. They're all adults. But I just watch how they light up and how excited that they are when they see another couple that's together.
That's awesome.
And how they are amazed at how, people can stay together for as long as they are. And my oldest daughter, she said, hey, divorce is never an option for us.
Absolutely.
It's never an option. Absolutely. And I just see how they work together.
That's good.
And it kind of, in certain aspects, it reminds me of how me and my husband, we've done things as well.
Wow.
So, and I appreciate them maybe taking a few pointers from us and applying it to their marriage because, just as a mom, you just want to see those things.
You do.
You want to see your kids win. You want to see them be successful in no matter what they do, but especially in their marriages and in, relationships.
Yeah.
When the right man is there,
absolutely,
it's easy to root for him.
Absolutely.
But when the wrong man is there,
that's a little bit
because I'll be honest, I've prayed a couple of them out of there. Because you just saw the writing on the wall.
Absolutely.
If you were not being a respectful young man towards my daughter, I knew that you were not the one.
And I think that needs to be a requirement for our young ladies.
Absolutely.
And don't just dismiss the red flags. Because at no point should they ever be disrespectful to you.
No. And another thing is a young woman should never, ever, and I'll say never on this, but should never think that she can change a man.
Absolutely. Because they are who they are.
And a man should not think that he can change a woman.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
But we also have the power to influence.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is going to change.
Yes. And it's not always good influence.
No, there's some bad influence that's definitely out there as well. So we're going to wrap up right now and join us back in next week for part 2 of this discussion. Thank you.
Let us know what you guys think about being in an exclusive relationship.
Yes.